Hello friends, welcome to the NIOS. I am Kaushal Kishore from Central University of South Bihar. Today the topic on which we are going to discuss upon is one of the most interesting topics of educational psychology and child development. The title of today's topic is Thinking and Thinking Skills Need for Development. The objective of today's session is to make the viewers familiarize about the concept of thinking and thinking skills, nature of thinking, types of thinking and need of thinking skills for the development of a child. It is expected that after completion of this session, the viewers will be able to recall the concept of thinking, compare various definitions of thinking given by different psychologists with different perspectives, differentiate between the process and product of thinking and give examples of both. Explain about the nature of thinking, differentiate among various types of thinking, identify the types of thinking exhibited by a child in real life situations, reflect upon the need of thinking and thinking skills for the development of a child. Now we discuss about the concept of thinking. When we think about the concept of thinking or talk about the concept of thinking, it is a kind of mental process which is found in each and every living organism. When we talk about living organism, it includes animal as well as human beings. Obviously, the level of thinking, the types of thinking found in human beings is higher than the level of thinking found in animals. That is why they are distinguished, especially in this world. Our daily routine works, most of our daily works involves a kind of thinking. For example, when I get up early in the morning and decide which shirt or which dress should I wear to go to the office, it involves thinking. When I decide which route should I take to reach the office so that I can avoid the traffic, it involves thinking. When I decide which work should I do on priority basis in my office, it involves thinking. Most of the things around us in our society are a result of human beings thinking. For example, motor cars, aeroplanes, high-rise buildings, etc. Obviously, there are some thinkings involve few mental steps, some thinking involves much more mental steps. In some thinking processes we come across some familiar situations, while in some thinking situations we come across very new situations. Some thinking are directed towards some goal and some are not. Since thinking is such a multi-dimensional concept, so different psychologists or different experts have tried to define this concept differently. For example, if we look at some definitions given by different psychologists, when Kagan and Haveman defined in 1976, they said that thinking can be described as the mental manipulation of images, symbols, concepts, rules and other mediation units. They are talking about this mental manipulation. However, when Valentine in 1965 defined thinking, it was defined as an activity that consists essentially of a connected flow of ideas which are directed towards some end or purpose. It involves a kind of purpose, or it is always directed towards a purpose. Silverman in 1978 defined thinking is a process that enables us to find solutions to problems by using symbolic representation of stimuli and events. Here stimuli means a kind of problem which works as stimuli for us. Mohsin in 1967 defined thinking is an implicit problem solving behavior. Gilmer in 1970 defined thinking is a problem solving process in which we use ideas or symbols in place of overt activity. Gilmer talked about overt activity. If we look carefully on these different definitions given by different experts, we come across to know that some definitions, all the definitions can be classified into two categories, one which are talking about the mental manipulation and another which are talking about a kind of problem solving. In these definitions, they are actually focusing around two concepts or two ideas, in which one is talking about thinking as a process, whereas in another definitions thinking is reflected as a product of like problem solving. Whatever dimension we take about thinking, whether it is as a process or whether it is a product, it is clear in both the cases that it is an overt, it's not an overt behavior, it is a covert behavior. And when we go through all these definitions, we come to understand about the nature of thinking, which is that thinking is a cognitive activity. When we talk about cognitive activity, it comes in our mind about those three domains we talk about: cognitive domain, affective domain and psychomotor domain. So, thinking comes under the domain cognitive and it is a cognitive activity. Again, thinking is not overt, it is a mental exploration rather than motor exploration. It is always inside the mind, it is not reflected through the our motor activities. That may be and problem solving or any motor activity may be an outcome or product or the result of thinking, but when we talk about particularly the idea of thinking, it is a mental exploration, it is not covert, it is not overt, sorry, it is covert. Thinking is always directed towards achieving some purpose. This again, however, when we go ahead, we will come to know that there are different kinds of thinking. Out of them, some of them are without any goal, but most of the time the thinking is directed towards achieving some purpose. Even some experts like Whittaker in 1970 said that all thinking is goal directed, no thinking is without goal. One more nature of thinking, we come to know that thinking is a problem solving behavior. Again, it is very important to note here that every problem solving behavior is not thinking, rather it is related only to the inner cognitive behavior. As I discussed just now, that when we talk about any problem solving, the product portion in which problem is solved and some motor activities are there, that particular behavior related to problem solving is not thinking. Rather, before that, the process which went into our mind, which worked in our mind, the inner cognitive behavior, that is thinking. Humphrey in 1963 also gave some characteristics or nature of thinking, and Humphrey said that thinking starts on appearance of a problem. When we come across a problem, we find any problem, then we start thinking upon it. So, the process of thinking starts. Humphrey also said that thinking includes trial and error, though when we go further we will understand that each and every thinking or each and every level of thinking is necessarily does not have trial and error. There are certain levels of thinking which include trial and error, and there are certain levels of thinking which does not include trial and error, rather they include insightful learning. We will discuss just now about this. Humphrey also said that thinking uses languages. It is said that thinking is an internal speech. When we think about anything, we need a kind of language for internal speech. Knowledge of language is required to think upon anything. Thinking uses symbols, images. Images may be visual images or auditory images. Visual images, for example, if I saw something and I am somewhere else and now I am thinking about that thing, so that kind of image is in my mind. And auditory image means when I was passing through some place and I heard about something, people was talking about this, and now I am talking about that discussion. So, auditory images are going on in my mind. So, these are the this is the nature which Humphrey described in 1963 regarding thinking. Now, we come to the types of thinking. Again, since we discussed in initial initial portion of the today's session that thinking has many dimensions. Many experts, many psychologists have defined thinking in a different way. So, different psychologists have categorized thinking into different types. However, there is no contradiction among these classifications. They are rather supporting to each other. In this discussion, we will talk about two kinds of classification, two kinds of types of thinking which are given by different psychologists. First, we talk about the types of thinking given by Zimbardo and Rook in 1977. Zimbardo and Rook divided thinking into two categories, two major categories. One is autistic thinking and another is realistic thinking. According to Zimbardo and Rook, autistic thinking means it includes daydreaming, fantasy and delusions. Note here that daydreaming or fantasy are nothing seriously abnormal things. It's a kind of withdrawal defense mechanism. If you remember, if you recall the concept of adjustment, there are two kinds of adjustment. One is permanent adjustment and another is which is not permanent adjustment, which is called defense mechanism. In that defense mechanism, there is a technique which is called withdrawal. A kind of daydreaming or fantasy may fall into the category of withdrawal, in which we escape ourselves from some tense situation with the help of daydreaming and fantasy. If it is up to this level, this kind of autistic thinking is not seriously abnormal, but delusions, and a person is regularly in delusions, then it is abnormal and it requires to take care. Another type which Zimbardo and Rook talked about in 1977 is realistic thinking. In realistic thinking, they further divided this realistic thinking into three subcategories. One is convergent thinking, that is deductive reasoning. Another is creative thinking, that is inductive. Third one is evaluative thinking, that is critical. Convergent thinking, that is deductive, it is kind of when we decide, when we think or conclude something with the help of major premise via minor premise, and then we conclude. For example, if a major premise, we know that all human beings are mortal, X is a human being, this is minor premise. So, we can conclude that X is also mortal. This kind of deductive reasoning, this is convergent thinking, nothing new is created in this, rather which is the major premise which is already existing in this world. With the help of that, we conclude something. In creative thinking, it creates something new, is inductive in nature. In what we do in inductive reasoning, that we take different examples, and with the help of n number of examples, we reach to a generalization. For example, if I had an observation that Mr. X is a human being and he died after some time, after completing his age. So, I can say that Mr. X is mortal. Then I observed Mr. Y, and again I found that Mr. Y is also mortal. Then I saw another human being, Mr. Z, he is also mortal. And I saw many human beings and found that they all are mortal, then I can conclude that human beings are mortal. Then evaluative thinking is a kind of higher level of thinking, which we also call critical thinking. In evaluative thinking, a kind of thinking involved in which person, before deciding anything or before accepting anything, thinks or evaluate the information, whether the information is correct or not, and then he or she decides to accept or reject the information. A very common example in today's scenario may be taken as social media example. For example, in WhatsApp, many of time we come across on our WhatsApp messages that someone has forwarded a message that this is a very seriously ill child, and if you forward this message, the WhatsApp will donate so much amount to the parents of this child. One who has evaluative thinking or this critical thinking will decide whether it is possible to donate money by this medium, and a person with evaluative thinking will decide, though it is not possible, it is a kind of fraud, it is a kind of hoax. So, he or she will not forward this message. However, a person without evaluative thinking will accept it as truth and forward it. So, this is evaluative thinking, which Zimbardo and Rook talked about under the domain of realistic thinking. One more classification we talked about, and many other psychologists have given, that is again they have divided thinking into two broader categories. One is non-directed or associative thinking, that is like Zimbardo and Rook's this autistic thinking, and the another type is directed thinking, which is kind of realistic thinking. Non-directed or associative thinking is kind of autistic thinking, in which daydreaming, again delusions or fantasizing is there. It is without any purpose, without any goal. That is why it is called non-directed. Whereas directed thinkings are always associated with some goals. And the experts has classified or subdivided into 5 subcategories this directed thinking. The one is perceptual or concrete thinking, in which thinking is about concrete things available around us. This is the lower level of thinking. Again, the next level of thinking is abstract thinking or conceptual thinking, in which a person is able to think about the abstract things, the things which are not present in concrete form in front of him or her. He or she is able to think about that thing. The next higher level is reflective thinking. Obviously, this is the higher than the concrete or abstract thinking, and it has different characteristics. Reflective thinking, that it is a higher form of thinking. Again, reflective thinking aims at solving complex rather than simple problems. Reflective thinking requires reorganizing all the relevant experiences and finding a new way. In reflective thinking, a person with reflective thinking always try to reorganize which are the relevant experiences in a logical manner and try to find a new way instead of going for with the old way. Again, as I discussed earlier, in reflective thinking, instead of trial and error, an insightful cognitive approach is there. In trial and error, a kind of experimentation is going on, while in reflective thinking, a person thinks, reorganize the things in a logical manner, an insightful decision is taken by the person, and then the step is taken. That is why reflective thinking is called an insightful cognitive approach. The next level is, according to this classification, is creative thinking, which is considered as the high level of thinking. In creative thinking, the purpose is to create or construct something new, original, novel or unusual. The persons with creative thinking do not think as the usual way of thinking done by ordinary people. This kind of thinking is not restricted by any pre-established rules. An example of this kind of thinking is that thinking of scientists, thinking of artists or inventors, when we think in a totally different manner. The next level in this categorization is critical thinking. The critical thinking is the kind of highest level of thinking in which a person keeps aside his or her own personal beliefs, prejudices and opinions to sort out the facts and discover the truth. To discover the truth in this kind of thinking, the person tries to find out the truth and sort out the facts even at the cost of his or her personal belief system. Mangal in his book in 2002 wrote that if a person want to think critically, one resort to set of higher cognitive abilities and skills for the proper interpretation, analysis, evaluation and inference. If a person want to think critically, first thing he or she has to keep his personal beliefs, prejudices aside. Then he or she must have some sort of higher cognitive abilities. Again, Mangal noted this point that an ideal critical thinker is habitually inquisitive, which is always in search of information, well informed, open-minded that whatever new will come, I am ready to accept it. Is again flexibility is also there, fair-minded in evaluation, free from personal biases and prejudices, honest in seeking relevant information and willing to reconsider. If a person is a critical thinker, he or she is always ready to reconsider the things. That may be at the cost of his own or her personal belief system, but the truth is truth. A critical thinker always accepts the truth irrespective of his personal thinking or personal prejudices. What is the need of these thinking skills for the development of a child? When we talk about child development or education for child development, we know that the purpose of education is to provide holistic development to a child, which ultimately can be grown up as a suitable or existing citizen in the society. When we talk about good citizens in the society, we need a kind of citizens which are always critical in thinking, which do not think in keeping their beliefs or prejudices in mind. They need to think critically. If we want to develop a child into a good citizen or into a holistically developed person, development of thinking skills and particularly development of higher thinking skills is required. In today's session, we talked about concept of thinking, nature of thinking, types of thinking, need of thinking skills for development of a child. Now, after completing this session, you must ask some questions from yourself, that which kind of thinking is dominating in your behavior, which kind of thinking is needed more for better development of a child. As a teacher, what can you do to promote higher level of thinking in your students? Obviously, as a teacher, it's always promoting higher levels of thinking is always good for the future learners or future citizens of the country. I hope that today's session must have been helpful in understanding the concept of thinking and thinking skills for you. Thank you for patient listening. We will meet in the next session with some new topic. Thank you very much.
प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो, धन साधन समय की सीमा से
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो,
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर, शिक्षा परीक्षा का बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर,
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों यूं मिलता फिर दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बहुत। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने, हम अपना जीत स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने,
घर बैठे पाएं राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय शिक्षा संस्थान यानी NIOS में एडमिशन, वो भी एकदम आसान तरीके से, जिससे शिक्षार्थियों को होगी समय और धन दोनों की बचत। NIOS से शिक्षा कभी भी कहीं भी। शिक्षार्थियों, क्या आप जानते हैं NIOS में एडमिशन लेने का सरल और सुगम तरीका, जिससे शिक्षार्थियों को ऑनलाइन प्रवेश लेने में सहूलियत मिलती है। NIOS में प्रवेश की प्रक्रिया पूर्णतया ऑनलाइन है। शिक्षार्थी घर बैठे इंटरनेट द्वारा प्रवेश के लिए सबसे पहले NIOS की वेबसाइट www.nios.ac.in पर लॉगिन करें। अपना ईमेल आईडी और पासवर्ड डालकर अपना पंजीकरण करें। पंजीकरण के बाद लॉगिन करने पर ऑनलाइन प्रवेश हेतु आवेदन पत्र खुलेगा। आवेदन पत्र को निर्देशानुसार भरें और प्रिंट आउट लें। इस प्रिंट आउट पर अपनी फोटो संलग्न करें। ऑनलाइन प्रवेश के लिए शुल्क हेतु भुगतान के तरीके हैं: क्रेडिट कार्ड के द्वारा, डेबिट कार्ड के द्वारा, राष्ट्रीयकृत बैंक के ड्राफ्ट के माध्यम से, जो कि सचिव NIOS नई दिल्ली या नोएडा के पक्ष में देय हो। भरे हुए आवेदन पत्र के साथ साथ डिमांड ड्राफ्ट और संलग्न किए जाने वाले दस्तावेज हैं: जन्म रजिस्ट्रार के जिला कार्यालय से जारी जन्म प्रमाण पत्र की सत्यापित प्रति, जिसमें जन्म तिथि अंकित हो, पिछले विद्यालय से प्राप्त विद्यालय छोड़ने का प्रमाण पत्र, जिसमें आवेदक की जन्म तिथि लिखी हो। प्रवेश फॉर्म का प्रिंट आउट NIOS के संबद्ध क्षेत्रीय केंद्रों पर 10 दिनों में पहुंच जाना चाहिए, अन्यथा उचित दस्तावेज न लगे होने पर आवेदन फॉर्म रद्द किया जा सकता है। प्रवेश प्रक्रिया की पुष्टि होने के बाद शिक्षार्थियों को परिचय पत्र व अध्ययन सामग्री डाक द्वारा तुरंत पहुंचाई जाती है। ऑनलाइन प्रवेश एक बहुत ही सुगम और सुविधाजनक प्रवेश प्रणाली है। ऑनलाइन ऑन टाइम फॉर सेफ एंड सिक्योर एडमिशन।